to all you wisdom walkers out there. It is my great joy and pleasure to be here with you tonight on this live stream of YouTube for the Wisdom Walk. Um, the shows that I have planned this month revolve around the theme of the core wound. And it's a topic that doesn't get talked about enough. I know for my mother's generation, it didn't get talked about at all. And it is new vocabulary that we now have. And of course, a wider interest, if you will, in people taking on doing their inner work. And so we can now talk about the core wounds. And so over these next 4 broadcasts for April, I will be doing just that. I'm going to start off with a basic 101 for people who may not be familiar with the term or maybe have heard it in passing, but haven't had a chance to really kind of understand it more. So tonight I will be doing that. Then next week I'll be talking about the alchemy piece that I associate with it, because of course we're only talking about a wound so that we can heal it. That's our goal. And so I'll talk about the alchemical process in terms of taking on that healing. And then in another broadcast, I will talk about more in regards to the healing process, and then conclude the month with talking about the treasure in the wound, because we want that wound to become our greatest gift, and about the liberated heart as the ultimate goal in taking on, knowing about, dealing with, healing, and transforming that core wound. So I am also at this time broadcasting to my Blog Talk channel of Wisdom Walk on Black Hole Radio. So I'm just waiting for my intro song to complete, and then I will do a formal start to this YouTube. But I did want to give those of you who are watching the YouTube before I begin officially to at least get a little bit of background on what's coming up for the month. And so it's my great pleasure, and I'm really excited to be able to share insights and wisdom with you around core wound and the alchemical process that I associate with taking on the healing of it. So we are officially in spring right now. Weather is getting warmer out here on the West Coast, and I saw from some family videos today that on the East Coast in New York, it's gotten warmer. People are out and about. So that's always a really good thing. We just really are grateful that we've moved through winter and we are now in spring. So I'm going to start officially. Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Walk here on Black Hole Radio, as well as my YouTube live stream, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. I am your host and guide, Jojopahmaria Nsoroma, and April is the first of 2 mineral months in this mineral year of clarity, confidence, and courage. With both the month and the year in mineral, you can be sure that April is a month full of opportunities to remember our higher purpose, rooted in the power of love. The religious holidays of the Jewish Passover and the Christian Easter celebration occurring this month also highlight the energy of liberation. My theme for April is Core Wound Alchemy, and I'll provide 4 broadcasts and live streams to explain what that is, why it is essential to living your higher purpose, and how to transform your greatest wound into your greatest gift. And tonight I'll start off with Core Wound 101, because there may be some of you who are watching this and may not be familiar with that term or may have heard it in passing, but this will give you an opportunity to understand it in a little more depth. Now, if you are listening in or watching for the first time, let me give you a little background on Wisdom Walk, because it is a human development and personal development resource for your mind, body, and soul. My ministry is any pain that is not transformed will be transferred. So, the essential goal of my shows is to support you in learning how to recognize and release any pain that is blocking fulfillment in life, or what I like to call having your happy endings in life. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, I broadcast live on both Black Hole Radio and YouTube Live, unless I'm on hiatus. And if for some reason you can't access the internet to listen or watch this program, you can listen to the live radio broadcast and or call into the show at this number. It's area code 563-999-3089. Again, that's 563-999-3089. Also, the web link that I provide for the radio broadcast serves as an archive link once the broadcast is complete. And of course, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, then you'll be able to get access to it whenever you'd like. And especially if you're doing live stream right now, when I complete this, and within 5 minutes, it usually takes them somewhere to 5 minutes, they will have it up and running and accessible. So right now, I invite you to sit or lay back and join me for an exploration of the inner landscape, where you can connect to your soul and discover more of the truth and true treasure of being human. Now, every week when I start, I like to start off by honoring the ancestors. And last month was Women's History Month, and so I highlighted the female ancestors. But this month, and because we are talking about core wounds, I want to highlight all our ancestors. I want us to call up all of the ancestors. And so right now, I invite you to take in a few deep breaths. Just slowly breathe in, feel your lungs expand, then feel them slowly relax and fill them up again. And close your eyes and think about your ancestors, blood related or not. You could have known them, or maybe just heard about them, or maybe you just feel them. But these are the people who were able to bring you into the world through their living, through their knowing. These are the persons whose shoulders you are standing upon, figuratively, definitely who you are connected to through your DNA. And if it's not through the DNA, it's just through our human existence, because we all breathe the same air. We all have iron in our bodies that came from the asteroids that bombarded the Earth billions of years ago so that there could be life. In other words, we're all connected. We're all connected. And so just think about those ancestors and just see who comes to your mind. And speak their name aloud, if you will, because we're calling on them right now. We are calling on these ancestors because we need their help. Taking on the healing of ancestral wounds and core wounds is not for the faint of heart. And we can't even figure it out. We need help. We need help to do it. We can know about some strategies and some tools, but the actual doing of it, I mean, the process for healing core wounds and ancestral wounds, yeah, we need help. We need a lot of help. We need a lot of faith, a lot of belief, a lot of help. And so that's what we're going to call on our ancestors for at this time, is for that help that we need in order to get to the liberated heart, to the experience of our hearts being liberated. And so join me now, if you will, as I shout out this prayer to our ancestors for their help. Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you for your blessing and your mercy in our lives, and for yet another opportunity to call out to your great emissaries, the ancestors. Creator, we know that we are here to evolve. We know that we are here to become the best version of ourselves, and that healing our core wounds is very much a part of that. And so we're asking for those ancestors who are associated with our core wound, who know of their core wound, especially now, to really come and show up and be guides for us in ways that we can't even imagine. So, ancestors, 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 we are calling upon you because we need your guidance, your wisdom, and your love. You who can see in all directions at once, you for whom problems here are not problems there. Be present with us. Come to us. We're opening the door, we're opening the way, for we really, really need your higher guidance, your higher wisdom to help us as we step onto a path of healing, of getting to the experience of our liberated heart. And ancestors, 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 we thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up, showing out, and for being around us and with us as we go on this journey. We are so grateful to you, and so grateful to Creator for having you be a part of our human existence. And so, Creator, I ask and thank you for the blessing of the ancestors in the name of all that is holy. And I say, Amen. Ashe Ahoasa, Shinga Bismillah, and so it is. Ashe. All right, we've called in the ancestors. We are ready. We're ready to go. Ready to go. I'm going to give you some elemental wisdom this week, of course, and also tell you what's up with the astrological forecasts, all done in a way to support our self-mastery, our mastery of ourselves. It's really important to realize that we are part of something more than just what we experience in the third dimension. We are part of a bigger, multi-dimensional existence. And so elemental wisdom and astrological forecasts are good guides to help us be more conscious about what is going on, ultimately so that we don't react from a place of victim when we experience a temptation into a negative or something surprising, unexpected, unwanted happens. And the more that we can be aware of what energetically is going on, number one, we don't have to think it's about us personally. We can say, oh, that's right, there's this energy going on. Okay. And most importantly, we want to work with the energy. You know, when things are tight, when the energy is tight, if we can, we want to make sure that we're taking time to be still and really nurture ourselves. When the energy is flowing, that's a time for us to get busy and to take on doing some things that we need to do. So that's basically, why I do these forecasts and this elemental wisdom. So let me start with the elements. And the elemental wisdom comes from the Dagara medicine wheel, which is from ancient Africa, that I wisdom keep. I do plan to post on my YouTube page a series of videos that give some more background on that, so that people who watch these videos and may not have heard me talk about that before will be able to get some of the elemental wisdom and information that it is. So just know that that'll be coming up. So, because January 1st was on a Tuesday, I use Tuesday as the first day of the week for this elemental year, which is a mineral year. It's all about purpose, all about remembering our purpose, being on purpose, living purpose, having the courage, the clarity, and the confidence to do that. And so this Tuesday, the 9th, guess what? It's a mineral week. We start off with a mineral week and a mineral month and a mineral year. So, oh yeah, this week is going to be quite amazing. And here's the opportunity elementally for you this week. It's about connecting with the souls of others. Unity consciousness is what makes us human. Communicate at a deeper level. We have the ability for compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and fifth dimensional relationships. A huge part of living on purpose is to be willing to transcend the shallow surface of what people present to us. See into their hearts and connect with their essence. In this way, you must be deep and simple with your own self and connected to your own soul. This is what the Age of Illumination is all about. Use the healing energy and minerals of stones, crystals, bones, and shells to illuminate your higher self and that of others. Very, very important to use those minerals. So, wow, right? A mineral week in a mineral month in a mineral year. Very, very powerful. So, with opportunities always comes distractions, things that can pull us off or pull us away from the opportunity. And so, here are a few that you want to be mindful of during this week. The first one is about feeling sorry for people and taking on their pain. Not going to help you get to your purpose. And it definitely isn't going to connect you to somebody's soul. Because when we see people as needing to be pitied, right away we put them into a box and we've set them up to be the other. So, no need to feel sorry for people. It's more about how can I support someone in remembering the truth of who they are? And sometimes to do that, you don't react in the way you normally would. Sometimes you do tough love because that really can help. Another distraction, feeling false obligations because you forget that you are worthy. Yeah. So things that we think we have to do and are supposed to do when it's not really for us to do. Yeah, that gets into us not feeling our self-worth, enough of our self-worth. So be careful of that. Victim consciousness, right? Falling into that victim place, wanting to be right about being a victim. Yeah, big distraction to connecting with anybody's soul, especially your own. Anxiety and impatience. Yeah, big distractions to soul connection. And last but not least, gossip, judgments, and blaming. Really, really try to avoid that this week. Always, not just this week, but always, but definitely during this mineral week, try to avoid that. Now, next week on Tuesday, April 16th, we'll begin a water week, and I'll share the information of opportunities and distractions with you on the next broadcast. Astrologically, and wow, we have come off of March that was full of astrological goings ons. I mean, just so many transits, transitions, just big stuff. And that beautiful super moon that we had, and Mercury was retrograde, and it's a lot of astrological activity. And all of that movement has set the stage for April. So April's not as intense astrologically, at least that's my opinion. It's more about, okay, now we get to learn what we received in March. So this is basically now we get the results, the consequences of what happened in March. I've got 2 dates here for you to pay attention to. One already happened. It was the 5th, which was our new moon, and it was in the sign of Aries. Interesting thing about this new moon, people a couple of people I talked to experienced it like it was a full moon. You know how that full moon light is so luminous and it floods your bedroom, and when you're out walking, you can really feel it, it's, like, really, really good. Well, um, 2 people I know had that experience when it flooded her bedroom, and she was saying to me, "Wow, the moon is really full, isn't it?" And I was like, "No, it's a new moon." And somebody else, they went outside their house and they could just and it was cloudy, it was overcast, but they could just feel this vibrant, this luminosity coming from the moon. And I'm like, wow, it's interesting because new moon is very shadowed. But anyway, so we've got a new moon acting like a full moon. That's really interesting. So this new moon was about learning how to discriminate between what is very important and what is really important. If something is urgent, it doesn't mean it's important. Aries, the sign that it was in, is a cardinal me first sign. So make sure that whatever initiatives you start now are aligned with who you truly are and with your sense of integrity. Very, very good wisdom. This information, by the way, is coming from astrologer astrobutterfly.com. I really like her reads. I've been enjoying them over the last couple of months. Next, she goes on to talk about April 10th, when Jupiter goes retrograde. Jupiter represents your belief system. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it's a good time to reflect on what you believe in. That's always a good thing to do. Like, really take stock. Like, what am I believing? What am I believing in? Are your beliefs still a reflection of the person you become? Nice one. Because the sun is square to the nodes of the moon, you may feel at a crossroad, like it's now or never. You may say to yourself, I want to live a life of purpose. I want to do something meaningful. And you are right. She says, no matter your current circumstances, your age, your religion, etc., you have the right, the chance, and the responsibility to live a life of purpose. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Very, very well and true. So that's the energy that's coming up on the 10th, on Thursday the 10th. So we'll look out. We'll be looking out for that. Now, let me give you a brief overview of what I'm going to be sharing about tonight in regards to core wounds and alchemy. I am going to start off with giving you a basic definition about core wounds so that you understand what I mean when I talk about them and how I am understanding them. Next, I'm going to talk about why they exist from a very higher consciousness, sacred perspective. I'll then talk about the gift of alchemy and my associating alchemy with the healing of core wounds. And then I will conclude with a personal challenge for you. So my quote that I use to announce this broadcast and this YouTube comes from a man named Parker J. Palmer. He is a dedicated teacher for teachers. He is very dedicated to evolving the educational process. And to do that, he focuses on helping teachers become better humans. And he wrote this wonderful book called Let Your Life Speak. And I got introduced to it many years ago when somebody gave me an excerpt from it called the Inner Life around leadership. And this is really a great quote. He says, why must we go in and down, meaning inside of ourselves and down into that volcano of our stuff? Because, he says, as we do so, we will meet the darkness that we carry within ourselves, the ultimate source of the shadows that we project onto other people. If we do not understand that the enemy is within, we will find 1,000 ways of making someone, quote unquote, out there into the enemy. Yeah. And this quote really sets up an understanding about why core wounds need to be addressed, because they really can shape your life into one of being a total victim and avoiding dealing with your own shadows and your own stuff, always making it be about someone else or something else, and not taking responsibility for what you are thinking, believing, and doing. In other words, you're devoid of self mastery. So I wanted to use that quote because I thought it really captured the importance of going down and in to address our core wound. So here's what a core wound is. Let me talk about that first. Basically, we're talking situations and experiences designed to disconnect you from your soul and shut down your heart and loving emotions. Yeah, that's basically what we're talking about. Again, situations and experiences. Now, these situations and experiences are not of our own making, they are divinely orchestrated. They happen in childhood, adolescence, or they can also happen in your mother's uterus. So, in utero, when you are actually developing from a zygote into what we call a newborn baby. Yeah. Core wounds are unwanted, undeserved, hard to accept, and even harder to heal. Okay. Really, really important to understand that. We are talking core wounds. Um, just to illustrate, a lot of times when we go into getting help for a situation, something that's happening for us emotionally, some post traumatic stress, maybe as an example, or grief or anxiety. And we take on healing that because we want it to stop. We begin to take on looking at what is happening to us right now that could be contributing to this upset. But ultimately, and this is one of the goals of good psychotherapy and psychology, it is going to have you go back to trace what that is rooted in. And so getting to that core wound can take a minute, can take some time. Um, the other important thing about it is to know that it imprints your unconscious with negative belief systems. So that's also why it takes a minute to get at it. Again, it happens in childhood, adolescence, can happen in the uterus. So, in the uterus, you don't even have a language for what's going on, right? You don't even have a language. And then it's in the unconscious, right? So core wounds, you know, stay hidden until it's time to heal them, until it's time to get at them. And that imprinting with negativity is what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body. It's your pain body. It's those negative things that happen and that you didn't get an opportunity to address, to process, to take on the healing of. They just kind of stayed with you. And that's what a core wound does. It stays with us. Even when we heal the core wound, okay, its framework is still a part of us. And there's a reason for that. So it's not like it ever is truly going to go away. It's something that happened and will always be a reality. It's just that you learn how not to let it run your show, right? You bring it out of the shadows into the light. And that's part of the alchemical process I'll be talking about. Now, core wounds are connected to ancestral wounds. Um, your core wound is coming from your family of origin, or like I said, even in your mother's womb. So that means that these are people who have been affected by people that came before them or the family they originated in, right? Like it's all relative. And that's just another thing to think about, to blow your mind about why it's so hard to get at those core wounds, right? Because they have another story behind them, which is really, really fascinating. And I'm only smiling because um, often in this work, people want to think that, you know, it's an intellectual exercise, like, oh, I'll just know it and I'll figure it out and I'll get done and. And the reality is, no, it is not an intellectual exercise. You can know all of what you need to know, but the actual getting through it, putting that core wound in its proper place, getting it to become a gift, that's a journey. That is a journey. Yeah, it's a journey. In fact, it's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey. Now, the core wound, how do we even know it exists? If it's hidden, if it's in the dark, you may not even have a language for it because it happened in utero. Like you might be saying to me, Jojopah, how do you even know this exists? And what are you talking about here? There's no evidence of it. Well, there is evidence, and here's how it shows up. Repetitive negative patterns in your relationships and experiences in life. Yeah, that's how it shows up. Repetitive and negative. So, for example, if we hear about people who go from marriage to marriage, I take Zsa Gabor, I think, for instance. I think she had like 5 different husbands or something like that. Or Elizabeth Taylor is another one. You know, I'm sure in each of those relationships, there was a same negative thing showing up. Same negative thing showing up. So it's being like caught on that hamster wheel where you find yourself right back where you didn't want to be. And you may have changed your name, you may have changed your wardrobe, you may have changed your country, may have changed your hair, dyed your hair, cut your hair, whatever. It doesn't matter because again, that core wound is going to be there until you say, okay, hold up. There's something going on here that no matter what I do, it's still happening. So I need to really open up this Pandora's box and find out what is really going on. Yeah. So that's how they evidence it, you know. If you feel unfulfilled in life and you're over the age of 50, I'll say, you got some core wound stuff going on. Yeah. Yeah. Something's blocking. Something's blocking. Especially if you're unfulfilled in life and you're over 60. Yeah, got some core wound stuff going on. Definitely, definitely. Um, the good news in all of this, the good news in core wound is that it can be mined because it's divinely designed to be mined for treasure and to become our greatest gift through acceptance, forgiveness, self mastery, and service. And of course, I'll be talking about that more in depth when I actually get into the process of getting at the treasure. You know, how we spin it from lead to gold. And speaking of that, Let me just talk about a little bit now about why the core wound exists. Because every human, every human has a core wound. Think about that. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your teacher, your favorite movie star, your favorite action hero, the person who owns the gas station down the street, the person who cleans up the bathrooms at the movie theater. Everybody has a core wound. It is a universal experience of human beings. We all have it. So, why? So, our essential and highest purpose in life is to evolve our love consciousness. I'll repeat that. Our essential and highest purpose in life is to evolve our love consciousness, to become more loving than what we were when we were born. Yeah, yeah. It really is all about the love. It really is. We can't exist as human beings without love. And there's great demonstrations of that. There's scientific demonstrations of that. And so we're here for love, and we're here to grow the love, to evolve the love through our consciousness. And for love to grow in this 3D dimension that we have as human beings, we have to experience its opposite. I'll say that again. For love to grow in this three-dimensional experience of being human, we have to experience its opposite. Yeah. That's pretty deep when you think about it. Pretty deep when you think about it. Core wounds, again, are universal. Every human has one, from the Queen of England to the homeless woman living on the street. And no one experiences their wound in the same way. No one experiences their wound in the same way. So let me read off to you some examples of core wounds so that you know even more what I'm talking about. So, like I said before, these are situations and experiences designed to connect you from your soul, shut down your heart. They're unwanted, undeserved, hard to accept, hard to heal, and they show up in childhood, adolescence, or in utero. A very, very common one we seem to have as human beings is the core wound of abandonment. That's either physical or emotional. It includes the death or illness of parents or their unavailability because of divorce, active military service, addiction to drugs or alcohol, mental illness, etc. Okay, abandonment. As a child, you did not get the level of attention, nurturing, validation that you deserved or needed. Another common one is betrayal. Trust is established, then betrayed. This includes ambivalence or emotional instability of caretakers. You know, that kind of borderline, come here, let me love you. Go away, I don't love you. You're bad. Come here now, you're good. No, go away. You know, that kind of thing. And again, that can involve physical or mental illness of a parent or caretaker. But again, that child expecting one thing and it not showing up. Of course, very common is abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, ritual. That definitely is core wound stuff. And that includes incest, emotional or sexual. And let me really emphasize emotional because people who are desired as children by family members who may not put their hands on them in a sexually inappropriate way, but who are lusting after those children because of their own, mental, emotional distortion, upset. Those children will have the same symptoms of a child who was physically sexually abused. So emotional incest is real and it does exist. And it does do the same kind of damaging to someone's emotional health and psyche that an actual physical sexual abuse does. And, incest includes, again, a lack of appropriate boundaries and inappropriate behavior by parents, siblings, or other family members. On the list is also birth trauma and defects. A premature birth, yeah, that can all be core wound stuff. Serious or extensive illness in childhood, not being wanted, being the result of an unplanned pregnancy or a rape, core wound. Rejection by a parent, postpartum depression of a mother, core wound, yeah. Being bullied and teased and invalidated by family members, siblings, or playmates as a child, also very much core wound, any kind of shaming, blaming, you know. Another one that is unusual to think of as a core wound, but it really is when there are lacks of limits for a child, when there's too much freedom. When children are allowed to make up their own bedtime, make up their own dinner menu, make up what it is that they want to wear all the time, where they're not given or not taught, the process of, we have to cooperate and go along with stuff in life. We can't always have our own way. Well, that lack of limits actually can create a core wound for someone. Yeah. Another one too is that stolen childhood, where children at early ages have to take care of parents or a sibling, where they're forced to take on adult responsibilities before they're really ready. It's a real question mark to child actors. Are we really asking them to take on an adult responsibility that they should not be ready for, and how is that affecting them? And, if you know anything about the children that played in Harry Potter growing up in those roles, all of them had some really difficult challenges in regards to their emotional well-being as a result of that. It's not all fun and games. So there you have it. Those are some of the ways in which you can experience or suffer a core wound. And like I said, the thing about a core wound is that it imprints you with negative beliefs, and it is very hard to heal. Very hard to heal. So I'll share with you some of the negative beliefs that we as humans get imprinted with as a result of our core wound. Okay. Because remember, everybody has a core wound. Nothing I do is good enough. I'm a bad or evil person, or I would not have been abused. I'm unworthy. I don't deserve to breathe the air. I'm a failure. I'll never amount to anything. I'm stupid. Others are smarter than I am. I have to be smarter than others to be loved. I'm unattractive. I'm weak and sickly. I'm unlikable, awkward, foolish, clumsy. I'm unlovable. Very common one. The world is not safe. If I'm not careful, I'll be hurt. So let me control everybody and everything around me. Love is too scary. I'm better off alone. Whatever I do, it won't be enough. I have to do things by myself. Nobody can help me. I can't do anything by myself. I got to always have somebody help me. When I trust God and the universe, I get smashed. When I stand up for myself, I won't be loved. And last but not least, my needs don't matter. I have to take care of others. Yeah. Now, when I say it's imprinted, what that means is it's in your unconscious. And so when you get into a situation, and especially a situation where you should be okay, you should be able to do what it needs to be done, everything's good, but yet there's some self-sabotage that goes on. There's this negative thought that comes up, like any one of those things I just said. There's something wrong with me. I'm not enough. I'm unlovable. I can't. I won't. Um, and again, all of that can be coming from that core wound. Yeah. And like I said, we usually don't uncover it. We usually don't get an understanding that it exists until we've gone through this repetitive negative experience. And we begin to see the pattern, Now, again, as I said, no one experiences the same wound of like abandonment in the same way. Okay. Um, so there's no, one formula, if you will, for how to heal a core wound. Everybody is unique. What we do have in common is that we have to go on a journey to heal it, and that the existence of our wound and the opportunity to take on learning how to heal it and evolve our love consciousness is what we as humans are here to do. So we've been designed to be able to do that. The ability for us to do that is inside of us, which is another reason why we have to go in. It does exist inside of us. And we can then make choices for things in the material world to show up to support us in how we need to heal. But we really do have the ability inside of us that's really important. And again, it really is a process. It is a process. So let me talk quickly about alchemy, because I'll be talking more about it next broadcast and the next one next week. But alchemy, from a historical point of view, was the process of turning lead into gold. Okay, so there was a belief that you can take these steps, these formulas, very specific steps, and you can get this base metal of lead to turn into gold. And that's what the alchemists do. They were like the first chemists, the first physicists and scientists. They're trying to turn this lead into gold, But alchemy also has a tradition of being about your spirit. So how do you take the wounded spirit and turn it into a higher spirit, a golden spirit? And so when I'm talking about using alchemy for our core wound, that's what I'm talking about. When you ask the question, why did I have to go through that? When you realize that there was this very painful, unwanted thing in your childhood, in your adolescence, and you ask that question, why did I have to go through that? You're asking to learn about the treasure in your wound. And this opens you up to really being ready to step into the alchemical process. So again, alchemy is that process of turning lead into gold through a series of steps that get repeated, and they're designed to capture the energy of evolution. Okay, the energy of evolution. In order for lead to become gold, in the historical sense, it had to first disassociate itself with the properties of lead and take on the properties of gold. Okay, it had to change properties. So to heal our core wound, we have to do the same thing, meaning we have to not identify with the properties of the wound, all that negative stuff. We have to really separate out ourselves from that. We have to remember the truth of who we are and work on ourselves to evolve ourselves away from the wound and into the gift. Yeah. The greatest strength of the alchemist was an unwavering faith. They believed they could get that lead to become gold. I mean, they like on it. Like, I don't care if it takes me every day until I die, I'm going to change this lead into gold. I mean, they were just that committed, deep, unwavering faith. They believed it. And they had patient endurance. They outlasted the temptations to disbelieve. They just stayed on it. So every successful alchemist knew that consciousness precedes being. Consciousness precedes being. What does that mean? It means that you have to believe in your truth before it can manifest. To believe in your truth before it can manifest. Now, that's really hard when you got this unconscious stuff going on telling you, you ain't nothing, you ain't never been nothing, you're bad, you can't, you won't, you're unlovable, right? Yeah. That's the big challenge. Like, how do I have faith and how do I have patient endurance on something when I've got all this negative stuff going on that is saying to me, no, you don't deserve and you can't and you won't? Well, that's why we have to become alchemists to take on this work. We have to learn and be just like those alchemists. We have to take the steps. We have to take the journey. You have to do the process. We have to have that commitment to be able to make those great wounds our great gifts. And it is a process. So here's my personal challenge for you. I want you to identify your core wound so you can work on shifting out of its unconscious belief system. That's the first thing is you gotta bring it into the light. You gotta know what it is. And like I said, everybody has one. Everybody has one. To uncover it, I suggest that you think about the negative, repetitive patterns in your life. What is it that keeps happening, that you keep coming around to? Is it a failed relationship? Is it failure at your job or career? Is it always feeling victimized by someone or a situation? Is it feeling betrayed? Is it feeling abandoned? Like, what is going on? Try to identify that. Ask yourself, what happened that was so painful that it shut me down from my heart or disconnected me from my soul, from my divine self? That's another way to try and get access to what that is. The important thing to know is the wound wants to be known because it's an energy at this time. See, it's an energy. And Einstein was totally right when he said that energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. And energy doesn't like to stay trapped. It doesn't. That's why we have what's called a midlife crisis. Because usually by the time you hit the age of 40 and you've done these repeated negative patterns, something comes knocking on your psyche to say, hey, are you ready to change something up here? And so we start to see people become disconnected, disassociated, disgruntled, disrupted, and people say, oh, they're having a midlife crisis. And what's really going on is that core wound is trying to be known. It's like, okay, look, I'm ready to be transformed. I need to get up out of here. I've been here since infancy, since you were a little kid. I need to go on to do something else. I'm ready to go. And it really knocks harder. So that's your personal challenge. I will post it in the box below and also on my Wisdom Walk Facebook page. Wow. Wow. So we have come to the end for this week. And I want to, of course, do my gratitude shout out, first of all, to Miss Yvette Parker, my wonderful engineer from Black Hole Radio. Thanks to her and the entire Black Hole Radio Be Well family, I'm able to broadcast over the internet every week, and I am so grateful for that. I also want to shout out to all my regular listeners out there, especially Miss Sarah, my number one fan, and to all those who have Wisdom Walk with me, and you know who you are, to my family, my spiritual kin, my transformational leadership colleagues, to my medicine brothers and sisters around the world, and to those who may be listening in for the first time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And watching for the first time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really couldn't do this without you, without your support, without your willingness to walk your wisdom. Now, next week, I will discuss becoming an alchemist in order to heal your core wound and to get to its treasure, which is really, really what it's all about. Again, don't forget about my Wisdom Walk Radio page on Facebook. The YouTube channel is Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. And last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, my loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this work with and for all of you. So, please have a fabulous and enlightening mineral week in a mineral month in a mineral year. Connect to your soul so you connect to the souls of others. And most importantly, please remember you are not disposable. You are divine. Good night now.